All right. This is a maturity project. I'm your host, Chad Everett Rocheers. I want to say welcome back to the people that have watched the videos and have been subscribed to the channel and have been keeping up. And for the new people, this channel is dedicated to maturity, 8 different areas. And I'm going to tell you right now, before you get too far into this, I am not perfection. I won't pretend to be perfection. I will not do anything of the sort. The goal of this is maturity, is to develop based off the experiences that we have in life that we've learned from, and we've developed ourselves in such a way that we become more adaptable and more capable of dealing with what's going on in life. This is not to hold you back in the past, which is to avoid the lessons that you're going through. We're at a impasse right now, and I'd say for human beings, we're at an impasse. We have people that are so overwhelmed because they've had failure to launch in one or more areas of the 8 areas of maturity. They're so overwhelmed that they start to lose functionality to what it takes to maintain where they currently are, and they start regressing. To be able to adapt to the challenges that are going on financially, which is connected to the economy, right, to a very large degree. If you have lack of ability to pivot and adapt to the changing environment, you have a reduction in your capacity to maintain yourself, and your maturity levels in finance are challenged. Doesn't mean that there's something like, you're broken. That's another thing. When you get on this channel, just know that there's a lot of the looking good. I want to look good. I don't want to look bad. I'm going to convince myself that it's not me. I'm an exception to the rule. If it is me, I'm still not going to accept it. I'm going to fight this. I don't want to look bad. Big parts of why we make decisions that we make when it comes to this. By the way, if you think that, okay, this is going to be another conversation about psychology, I'm not a psychologist. I decided I didn't want to continue that route. That's it. I've I find that the industry itself has got its challenges, and I didn't want to be a part of it. I'm not here to teach you psychology. I'm here to bring curiosity, and I'm here to bring insights that I've had in my life and the desire to learn more. Now, with that being said, we're facing a lot of challenges. The less adaptable you are in any of the 8 areas, the lower your ability to pivot. We have another unique challenge that comes with this. Where you are developed fairly well, you'll acknowledge that it's part of the way you see yourself in the world. It's part of your identity. Your strength is also your weakness. Now, your strength is not your weakness in the category of strength most of the time. It's your weakness in areas that you're weak in or that you're less developed in, and you're using your strength to try to convince yourself that you're okay, you don't need to address that area. That is a weakness. We are one of the most adaptable creatures on this planet, and we choose to reduce our ability to adapt. Now, we have things that we hear all the time, like jack of all trades, the master of none. One of my higher skill sets is adaptability. I've reinvented myself a lot of times in my life. This is not for me to sit here and toot my own horn, by the way. I'm not sitting in a mansion. I'm not going to sit here and act like it either. I'm not going to be one of those YouTubers that jump on here and show you a Lamborghini that I'm standing next to and convince you that it's mine because I keep talking about it the way that it seems like it's mine. I'm not into that bullshit. I am where I am in life, and I'm willing to share those things now because there are people that this will help. Some people will find it entertaining. Some people will take something out of it and say, you know what, I can do something different now because I'm not painted in a corner anymore. I've had my heart broken many times. I have had business failures many times in my life. I have started and closed several businesses. I'm not going to sit here and be like, I've got the foolproof plan for you on how to create these businesses yet. But business is an area of maturity. I do know how to make a successful business. It's what I do now as my profession, is I fix gyms in the fitness industry. And I'm incredibly good at them. Lethal is one of the ways that it's been, expressed when it comes to that. Because I'm just really, it's what we do and it's done. And it works. And it works every time. But I learned that through trial and error. I learned that from working inside of a company that wasn't intending to teach me that, because I have a very high skill set and adaptability and curiosity. We all have them. And for the person that's watching this video, it excites me to think about the skill sets that you have that are not mine. And even if you have skill sets like mine, there is such a significant variation or variance inside of each one of the areas. This channel is developed for love. But it's not this optimistic, blatant concept of love where you just ignore everything else unless it makes you feel loved. No. It is the challenge, the suffrage that you go through in order to give the value to something that you're going to title, or you're going to give the prestigious value of love to. I love this process. The grind, yeah, it sucks. But it sucks so damn good. And I don't mean that in a porno reference either. I have just gotten to the point that I really enjoy going through the hardships because it just makes me a better person. It makes me more adaptable, and it gives me more tools, utility to help people. I am geared for that. I've been this way my entire life. I've always wanted to help people. My son's like this too. I've noticed this in him. He's 2.5, a little over 2.5. He loves helping people. So do I. We got work to do. I was speaking with a friend of mine earlier, and we really got into all kinds of things. We got into, because he's been consulting with me for business, and, we've been working on a lot. And I got to tell you, I appreciate him. He's honest. He's open. He really wants change, and he's humble enough to talk about it. I intend to make the greatest degree of difference in my lifetime. I don't know how long it is, but I intend to make a difference. So speaking with another friend of mine earlier, she's going through a tough spot, and she had a lot of anxiety, and is locking her up. She started to feel pressure in her chest, which is common for people with anxiety. And it can be conflated with other things that make people, extra worried. But, when you're going through a panic attack or an anxiety attack, it really does put a lot of physiological symptoms on a person, and it can be incredibly daunting. And she's like, what should I do? And I'm like, well, I come from having social anxiety. I've had a lot of it. And it's been painful at times in my youth. They really go through it. And one of the greatest gifts that my father gave me, because he made the final say-so whether or not I would actually seek therapy. And I don't know whether or not that was even an open conversation between my mom and my father, or my mother and my father. And I just know my father was not that guy. He wasn't going to send me off to mental health or therapy. Now, I'm not saying don't do it, but I am saying that since I did, it's one of the reasons why I decided that going that route, in college wasn't for me. And really, I've got my opinions on that, and I won't share it right now, but I will tell you that, that particular field of study in higher academia is not exactly faring well for me. It is not in high favor anymore. And I've been fascinated and fell in love with the subject a long time ago. And my personal experience is going through the process and what's going on currently in our society, the United States. I will tell you that a lot of that has to do with the failures of psychology as a principle of study. Yeah, it's a discipline. It's not what it should be. Anyway, so we talked. We finalized that thought about my parents, is that my father was more of get through it, go through it, you can do this. And he was right. I overcame social anxiety. It gave me skills that I use all over the place in my life now. It is where you will hear me give the declaration, I deserve what I'm going through. But it's not some cat o' nine tails that I'm hitting myself with or flogging myself walking down the corridors of the town or the alleys, making the proclamations of how horrible of a person that I am as I punish myself in front of them. It's not that. No, I deserve what I'm going through because I got myself into that situation, and I deserve the lessons that help me not have that situation occur again. And also, I go through things to learn it so that I can help support other people in such a way that I don't enable them, but I give them the right kind of insights and hopefully give them the right insights to change their life on their own so that they're not dependent on me either. We have a significant vacancy in support in this country. We have some of the smartest people that are absolutely the dumbest. They can't see tomorrow, no matter how much you try to get them to. But they also got great grades, high grades. It's truly sad what we've gotten to when you think of it that way. But I'm also one that actually, I'm not a black pill kind of guy. I'm not trying to give you the depression concepts of exactly what's going on in life. I'm definitely not a nihilist. I have an optimistic view for the future because I also love the underdog. And I gotta tell you, if the underdog didn't perform, we wouldn't love it. Right now, the underdog is what used to be our strength, what gave us the ability to support the world the way that we had gotten to as far as the country goes. Now, I'm not here for a political conversation. I'm not here for a nationalist conversation either. I'm not here for any of that stuff necessarily. I have my positions, but I'm not here to share that necessarily. It's just the mechanical aspects of it, the way that I think around it. And with that, if you get a different spark of interest, or if I become your muse to help think that there's other opportunities, other chances for you, I want this to be an access. So that, we've got a lot of very challenging times coming. We could completely become radical, which I do not support at all, and I have no interest in radicalizing anybody because we don't need that. We already have enough of it. And I'm an independent when it comes to the political alignment. So I'm not a Republican or Democrat, but I will tell you there is one political party I will never vote for, and it does not start with an R. No. The independent party is not a party that you really can rely on, unfortunately. But we are at least more likely to be free thinkers. We're not going to vote party line. We're going to vote based off of what we know, the best that we understand things. That's more what we, the independents, do. I'm not using politics in a way to try to get you enrolled in any way to vote, necessarily. It's more to free you up from the muck that was occurring in your life before this conversation occurred to you. I want to do everything I can to support you, but I can't do it for you. But I wanted to give you those guidelines and warnings because I'm not your guru. I'm not. I'm a guy that's trying to make a difference. I'm fallible. I've made mistakes. I've gone through a lot. I've actually probably gone through multiple lifetimes worth of challenges because I like the challenge, man. And there's not a lot of us. I can tell you that. I also don't sit in a conversation and one up everybody often because I got to tell you, I'm not the biggest fan of people that do that either. But I also understand why they're doing it most of the time, and I try to help validate them in a way that moves them away from it, but not direct validation. But with a friend of mine that called about her anxiety and how she was being overwhelmed with it, and I can relate that to my own experiences in anxiety. I talked to her about uncertainty because anxiety is directly associated with uncertainty. I'm like, what do you feel uncertain about? And again, mind you, I'm not doing therapy. It's not, I don't want to. I just want to have a curious conversation to help free people up give them something they could work on to help develop themselves in a mature way that gives them more freedom, more functionality, more autonomy. Sorry. Um, so I asked her, what is it that you have uncertainty around? And then she shared with me a bit more. She has some trust issues. She's had some recent revelations. Same as myself, by the way. Still going through one of the hardest times in my life. Three of the four major pillars that actually give people that value, that the confidence, the foundation, the bedrock of who they are. Three of those four have been drastically challenged. You know, career, home, and relationship, all of which have been drastically challenged. And she's going through her challenges. And she says she's not sure who she can trust anymore because she doesn't know who's really being honest with her. She doesn't know who's actually real in her world and who's actually running lines of bullshit. And I can relate with her very easily because of some of my own challenges. And I said, really one of the best things right now, if you're dealing with trust in other people, who do you know represents how to trust people or how to gauge people so you can trust them? You can, and I'm a big advocate of this, you can get a book. You can find an author. By the way, I'm not an advocate for using Google. Google has a lot of political bias. The reason why I'm going to tie politics into this particular statement is that there are some incredibly brilliant people that would be kind of liberal-centric, closer to the independent party, if you will, but still on the liberal side to a degree, may have voted in the D category at some point in time and represented that particular category at some point in time. And because they spoke out against the agendas that are going on in their particular fields or their subjects or whatever it is, now they're labeled as some sort of far-right extremes. And then, you do have big tech has their censorship. They have their agendas. They have their political bias. Google, by the way, is incredibly biased towards Democrats. And again, this is not a political conversation that I'm trying to give. I'm trying to give a logical piece of why I don't want to, and I do not suggest people use Google when you're searching things. There is somebody that is incredibly brilliant. His last name is Weinstein. I value the hell out of him. He is incredibly intelligent. And because of his issues at Evergreen University, which is where he was a professor, he has been labeled a right-wing extremist. He is not that at all. But if you try to look up his books on YouTube, or not on YouTube, but on Google search engine, there's a pretty good chance he will not have the higher ranking because they can manipulate that stuff. So where do you go when you start searching these things? I can't tell you where to go to look for everything because I don't necessarily know who you are and I don't know what you're looking for. And also whether or not I'm the best resource for you. But I have the curiosity value that can help open that up. But it depends on my bandwidth at the timeline that I'm requested, whether or not I have the resources necessary to look into it for you or not. But I would prefer to set you free so you're not dependent on me waiting for me to bottleneck down your progress. That's not what this channel is about either. I don't want to bottleneck you. I'd rather learn from you. I don't know how to tell you people this that do follow this channel, but I find brilliance in all of the people that I speak with. I don't care where you are in your IQ test and where you come in with your scores in your IQ. I care at the fact that you're just brilliant in the way that you've experienced the world that's different than the way that I've experienced the world, and I want to know it. So with that, I come to you humbly to learn from you. I'm not trying to be your guru or your high-level authority. I've got authority in the areas that I want to speak on to the degree that I have it, because I'm here as a representation of myself and my life, but I'm not here to tell you not to go see the doctor when you need it, right? I'm not trying to tell you to offset the authorities that are valuable enough, but if I have criticisms about them, I'll share it, and then you can come up with what you want from there. So I did make a suggestion to look into a different search engine to help her find people that could actually give less bias in the results of what she's looking for. And I was like, okay, if you want to find people that can either, that have videos available, whether that's on Rumble or if it's on YouTube or, wherever it might be, X, or if it's on Parler or wherever, wherever you can get those videos, and you have something you can watch that helps give you some insights. Just get you thinking, grease the wheels, or grease the gears up enough, get you functioning. Good. We want that. We want you growing. I want you to be able to start expanding. Even if you're expanding in a direction I consider to be not necessarily the most desirable or, flat out wrong, doesn't mean that you can't change my mind and possibly, find that I'm the one that's wrong. I love to have those kind of conversations, even though they're uncomfortable and the immediate reaction may not be the most desirable, because I have to manage me when I realize something that I cherish is being challenged. It's understandable. It's the way we function when we have things that we value. But I want you to find this stuff. And I'd rather you take that and bring that to the table and talk to me. I'd rather you expand the conversation in such a way that I expand, and then we can expand together. So I suggested that she looks into search engines like DuckDuckGo, although I know that has its own problems now, and that started in the last several years that I'm aware of. So it's not clean. It's not like I'm completely unbiased search engine, but at least it's not tainted as badly as Gmail. Or I'm sorry, not Gmail, but Google. Definitely not an advocate for Yahoo. It's worse. MSNBC, Bing. God, if you just take the fucking political nonsense out of it and let people think for themselves. God damn, I wish. That's what I'm working on, though, because right now we're still working in a meritocracy. So if you don't give them the viewership, you don't pay attention to them, it hurts their business. And unfortunately, we got a lot of people that follow because they're just eating up whatever they're told, and that's how they think, and it sucks because they really prefer the free thinkers as much as possible. But a lot of those people will proclaim to be free thinkers, but I gotta tell you, and it's not I'm coming at them to judge them as if I'm trying to be some nasty person. They're just not free thinkers. And I'm saying that I'm not impervious. There's going to be things in my foundation that I didn't realize that have been put in there that are still holding me back from free thinking. It takes time to understand those things. You've got to continue to unfold who you have been so that you can free yourself up. To unburden what has been. God. Horrible candidate, by the way. Oh my God. Well, anyway, so I gave her the suggestion, and I did tell her, back on track now that I'm done with my tirades and rants. Probably not. But at least for now, let me get back on track, and I'll tell you that it saddens me to think that we're stuck in the situation that we're in, but then again, it gives me a lot of hope and inspiration because I realize the underdog is ready to be rooted for again. You got to revitalize that thing. So I suggested to her, completely back on the track here, that she look into a different search engine because, and look for things that are going to help her establish trust in people that are around her and how to actually gauge that for herself. So it's not to just blindly give people credit limits or credit values that are based off of the past, that things change in our life, man. We do change the way we feel about things, and that also shows direct connection and correlation with the way we think about things. And the way we think about things is what gets us to come to the determinations that we have, and then as those determinations gain more traction, gives us the moral conviction to those determinations. So if we really want to break free of this, we do have to start figuring out where do we go to learn, and how do you learn whenever you're stuck with only so much information. So I did tell her, and I'll tell you as well, that when you're trying to figure out, especially like with her situation, you're trying to find out how to create trust in people, especially for people that you've known, the best way to create trust is find out, look for an author, look for somebody who's speaking on how to identify whether or not you can trust certain people, and then how do you reestablish trust if it's possible. And from that, if you watch a video, you're more primed at that moment to learn from that video because you have your economy of demand and your supply and demand economy is directly in front of you. It's in your face. You know, you have a high degree of desire and the demand is high. Then you bring in the supply. You're more likely to cherish the information you're going through, to learn from it, to grow. You're also very likely to retain it because it has a very high level of interest for you. It's one of the best times to study any subject is when it has the highest demand in your life. Like, so when you're going through these challenges, what do you do to overcome it? If you can identify the challenge, then you can find the solution. Most of us can't identify the challenge. Like, I don't know, I'm frustrated. This person said this. I got this stuff going on at home, and you can't find the core issue. You're talking about the symptoms to the issue, and you're stuck on the symptoms. Well, with the maturity project is we're working on getting to the actual core issues. From there, we don't need to get stuck in the minutia of the symptoms. So if you want to create something different, you got to do something different, right? You cannot think your way out of an issue with the same model of thinking that got you in it. You can't make it stronger or better in the same direction if it's what got you in the problem in the first place. Because if that logic is, it makes things worse, faster, better, worse. Let's not do that, you know? How do you pivot? What's your adaptability scores? At some point in time, I almost certainly will come up with, you know, how do you assess the 8 areas of maturity? Understand where your strengths and weaknesses are inside of each one of the categories so that you have a better understanding of who you are. Because that gives you more workability. Look, I'm not coming to you with this channel or this education to sit here and to proselytize how smart I am, or, you know, put out there that this thing is going to be the thing that fixes your future and all you have to do is just buy in, because there's work associated with it after you buy in. You do have to do the work. I'm not doing it for you. Can't do it for you. If I do it for you, we're screwed, because I'll never make the differences necessary unless you get it from observation but not actual practical application. I don't want to do that to you. I don't want to do that to anybody. Plus, I don't want to put that work in. I mean, I don't mind working, but I gotta tell you, my life needs a whole hell of a lot of it. I have recently gone through some interesting things that have only increased my awareness of the areas of my maturity that give me something to work with, and I'm incredibly grateful for it. But I gotta tell you, man, it's like holding a hot coal. The harder you try to hold on, the more it burns you. It's kind of the situation in life, right? Anyway, all right. Well, hey, that's it for today. I'm going to call it. If it seems like I'm a little melancholy or low energy, it's just because today's been an interesting ride. But I have a commitment. Here's the other thing. Take inspiration in it. You don't need to always be juiced up on caffeine, lost in some sort of ecstasy for your future or some sort of fantasy world. You keep moving forward. You keep taking one step in front of the other. Oh, keep doing it. I promise you things will shift. It's worked until this stage of my life, all the way up to this point. I'm not saying until as if it's not working now. It's worked all the way up to this point. I have no reason to believe it won't continue to work. It's just a matter of what my expectation of the predictable outcome is. I want different for everybody. And I got to tell you, I'm a huge fan of the underdog. And the majority of the people right now are unfortunately in the mindset of being the underdog. We can unify this thing. We can bring it together, and we can actually embrace each other's differences and stop creating so many divisive positions to where you're making everybody, you get that righteous feel, and we're so fucking inundated with righteousness right now. I don't want it. I don't. If somebody were to come to me right now and be like, Chad, for the rest of your life, you don't need to worry about money, but you got to give up this effort. But we'll give you an unlimited amount of money your family can ever spend. I'd turn it down. I love you too much. Give me the suffering. I deserve it because that is what's going to chisel the outcome. This will forge the future that I want. And then I can appreciate everything, not just the money, not just the finances of it all. I can live my life to make a difference. All right. Well, share this video with the people in your life you want to make a meaningful difference with. Shit. That hit hard, man. It's good. Anyway, share this video with the people in your life that you want to make a difference with, something meaningful. Watch it with them. They can watch it alone, and then you talk about it, whatever, but talk about it. Make a meaningful conversation. If you're a victim, you need to free yourself of that. Now, you may have had some bad shit happen to you in your life, but if you continue to victimize yourself, forget it. You're stuck. You're powerless. Victims are powerless. Now, not to say that I don't have compassion for victims, but I gotta tell you, I won't coddle you either. I'll hold you. I'll cry with you. I will give you the love that you need so you know that I care. But I'm going to encourage you to get the fuck out of there, because you can only be there so long before it starts to affect you. And all mental health counselors that are worth a fucking damn will tell you that. There's a point in time that you gotta give it up. Otherwise it becomes part of your identity. Don't be a victim. If you've been victimized, let's go through the lesson. Let's go through the process. Let's go through the healing. And then let's get the fuck out of it. We got work to do. We got a world that we need to work on. The life you want has an ecosystem. And if you're not working on building that ecosystem, the life you want won't make it. You cannot build a paradise in a dystopia. You have to be responsible beyond the outcome of what you want for yourself. A lesson from a father, right? You do not want to give your kids the fight that you're too cowardly to take on. But we got to get you positioned in a place that you can take on the fight. So I got to tell you, the fight's coming. It's already here for a lot of you because we're so disorganized in our own life that whenever something external of our life shows up, you're ready to just throw your hands out there and be like, lock me up, I'm done. Tell me what to do, tell me where to go. I can't. I don't want to do anything because I surrender. I've exhausted myself dealing with my own life, and then you show up telling me that I got to do something. I'll just fucking do it. I don't care. Or we can build your resolve, your constitution, and make you a stronger, better person. But let's build your community to help aid in that. Comment in the comment section. Tell me what you're getting out of this. You know, share something. Give some words of enlightenment, man. Give something that just give everybody just like, hey, I'm here too. Let's get to work on this. The Maturity Project is my answer to the world's issues. I want to see something better for the world. And by maturing, we'll get there. Here's a little, P.S. Just know that when you mature does not mean you don't have fun and that you're not playful. You can still be childlike in your playfulness when you're mature. The process of maturing just drops off the insecurities, but you can stay playful. You can stay childlike. You can still have a lot of fun. I do all the time. It's not just because I have a 2.5-year-old, It's also just my relationships in my life. I like to play. I like to have a good time. I like to joke. All that stuff. You can do that with the Maturity Project too. You don't become a stick in the mud. That's not how this works. You just lose the insecurity so you can actually be more present more often, and fulfillment follows. you get to have a more fulfilling life. So subscribe to the channel if you like that idea, because you'll get it this way. You will. I'll give it nothing else. You'll get access to it. You got to make your life, though. I can't do it for you. So like the video, help with the algorithm. Subscribe to the channel. Encourage others to join this. I'd really love to get to 100 subscribers before October 12th. It's the 10th right. Oh, I'm sorry, it's the 4th right now. We have 8 days. I think we can do it. Anyway, all right. Until next time. I'm your host, Chad Everett Brochures. This is the Maturity Project. The path to hell has paid the good intentions, but I'll tell you right now, if you're watching this video and you're at this point in the video, you're not out to make another path to hell. You've had your fun. You've had all the kinds of setbacks that you want. You're tired of it. It's time for a different outcome. That's the Maturity Project. All right. Till next time. Let's get up to something. Let's get up to it together. And let's go. See ya.